We meet on various territories. Many of us on the unceded traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples. What has happened in these last centuries has impacted both Indigenous people and Black people and other people of color. There has been racism and colonization then and ongoing. We at Beacon are committed to the work of reconciliation and decolonization, and it is together that we do that good work. I'm Reverend Meg Roberts, and I'm the minister here with Beacon Unitarian Church. For any guests and newcomers, we offer you a special welcome. We're glad that you're joining us for today's service. We have on our website both the order of service. On the right-hand side is beaconunitarian.org, and Janet, I'll ask you if you could drop it into the chat. And we also have a Beacon Connecting form that you can fill out, and then we can send you our weekly e-news, the Beacon This Week email, as well as there are ways for us to get you on our newsletter list. I'm going to also mention that this second Sunday of the month, we have on coffee hour, during our check-in group, I also offer a chance for us to look at the monthly theme packet. And this month, in March, we're looking at our principle that we affirm and promote that each person has worth and dignity. So I hope you'll come and join us. We meet for about 15-20 minutes before we go into other conversation groups. Just a word about using the chat during the service. If it's during the quiet meditation or during the ritual that we're going to do today, or maybe when someone is speaking during joys and sorrows, we'd ask you not to drop things into the chat. Just it can be a bit distracting. But in between the sharings of joys and sorrows, if you have a joy or sorrow or milestone that you wanted to let others know about, that would be a good time. I'm going to ask Ashley to offer a welcome.
Thank you, Meg, and hello, everyone. And an extra special welcome to families joining us. For those that may not know me, my name is Ashley, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration here at Beacon. During our regular in-person Sunday services, the children and youth would normally transition into age-specific programming. But as we continue to gather virtually, we're inspired to find new ways to connect. One of those ways we've been doing a postal service version of Mystery Buddies over the last month. And today, this afternoon, we're actually going to have our celebratory reveal for those that participated in Mystery Buddies. Additionally, I'm still mailing out the monthly program newsletters for registered RE families that give ideas to consider the monthly theme of the principles at home. And if you'd like information on either of those, as well as anything else RE, feel free to check out either the COI programming tab on the Beacon website or send me an email. I'm happy to connect. And I've posted both those contacts in the chat. Thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm going to ask if Janet would spotlight as well Laura and Judy, other members that join me from the pastoral support team who are offering the service today. We're doing a responsive reading for our opening words, and Judy and Laura will read some words, and then I'd like to invite you to join me in doing the response in saying, "We give thanks this day." So if you want to, we can test it out. So if I do this with the hands, we all say, "We give thanks this day." So try it. We give thanks this day. Perfect. Judy, take it away.
For our community gathered here, for the spirit that called us together and drew us to this place,
we give thanks this day.
For moments we have shared with others, for times when we have reached out across barriers of distance and fear, for times when others have reached out to us, for moments when we have discovered another along our path.
We give thanks this day.
For this community of celebration and growth, introspection and solitude, and for those moments of that peace which passes all understanding.
We give thanks this day.
For our gathering together out of distant places, for our weaving together out of many separate selves this hour of celebration and worship.
We give thanks this day. Ashley will lead us in a chalice lighting.
May the weaving together of our lives strengthen the fabric of Beacon's community, bringing warmth and love at this time when it is so needed in our lives and in the world. And if you have a chalice where you are, join me in lighting yours.
Thanks, Ashley. We're going to sing a congregational song together. Love Will Guide Us. I'm going to ask Heather to bring up the words on a slide for the lyrics. So we'll sing it all at home and use the mute button so that we can then hear Ming Shren, who's going to be our song leader. Though we've had many hard years, many hard nights over this last year, the song can remind us what can help us during this time. Ming Shren, over to you.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
This morning's story for all ages is titled The Umbrella Sanctuary, and it is by Tim Atkins. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was caught outside in a sudden rainstorm. She ran inside to the nearest store to wait out the rainstorm. As soon as she closed the door, a bright flash and a loud boom of thunder followed her. Now, before I continue with this story, I'll invite you at home, whenever there's a loud boom or sounds of thunder in the story, to make those sounds where you are at home. Some ways you might do that is snapping your fingers to make the sound of rain, or like that to make the sound of rain. You can stomp your feet or clap your lap. All those sounds that make thunderstorm sounds. I have this magical thunder box, so I'm going to make some big booms while we are reading through the story. So back to the little girl here. The little girl knew that she would be stuck in the store for quite a while. She started to look around at some of the different items in the store when the shopkeeper appeared. The shopkeeper was the oldest woman the little girl had ever seen. Her hair was as white as the snow, and her face was all wrinkly. The little girl was brave enough to admit she was a little scared. "Young woman," said the old shopkeep, "can I help you with something?" The little girl pointed outside, too afraid to talk. "Ah," said the old shopkeep, Did you run in here to escape the rain? The little girl nodded slowly as another loud boom thunder shook the store. Well, you can wait here if you'd like in this little sanctuary. We've got a nice sturdy roof over our heads, and it will keep you safe and dry. The little girl appreciated the offer, but she really needed to get back outside and continue on her way. The old shopkeep could tell the little girl was hesitating. Or, continued the shopkeep, you could head back outside with this. The old shopkeep went behind the counter. What do you think she pulled out? That's right, an umbrella. Take this umbrella, said the old shopkeep. I don't know why it's raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary. The little girl beamed and then stopped in her tracks. But I don't have any money, said the little girl. The old shopkeep waved her off. No worries, little girl. Just be sure to offer the umbrella to someone else when they need it. The little girl accepted the umbrella, headed back outside and opened her umbrella and went on her way. The little girl was happy and dry. She started skipping down the street and was perfectly happy when she saw a man wearing a suit, trying to keep dry with a newspaper over his head. She heard another loud boom, and the newspaper began to fall apart under the heavy rain. She skipped over to the man in the suit and held the umbrella up as high as she could reach. Thank you, said the man. Remembering the words from the old shopkeep, the little girl told the man, I don't know why it's raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary. The man smiled in relief. He had been having a really bad day. See, he was wearing a suit because he was on his way to a job interview. He had been without work for a long, long time and was desperate. He had to walk to the interview because he couldn't afford a car. When it started to rain, he cursed his luck. He would show up to his really important job interview soaked, and he knew it would make a really bad first impression. The little girl spotted her family in the store across the street. Here, she said, take the umbrella with you. I see my family right over there across the street. Oh, I couldn't take your umbrella, said the man, feeling guilty. No, take it. Just be sure to offer the umbrella to someone else when they need it. The little girl put the umbrella into his hands and then ran off to meet her family. The man couldn't believe how nice the little girl was. He knew he had to hurry, though, because it was almost time for his very important interview. Another boom of thunder caused him to start running. Well, I can tell you the man got the job he was interviewing for, and soon enough he was able to afford to buy a few umbrellas of his own. Whenever it would rain, he would bring not only his umbrella that the little girl had given him, he would bring 2 more smaller umbrellas to give away to people who were stuck outside in the rain. And every time he gave away an umbrella, he would say, I don't know why it's raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary. And soon everyone in their town had an umbrella and that they would take with them. And if the townspeople passed by someone without an umbrella, they would give up their own and pass on the words not now known by the entire town. I don't know why it's raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable umbrella. The end. Now, how lovely is that story? I love how much joy and lasting change can come from a simple act of sharing. It sort of reminds me of how Beacon shares among its members the quilts of community when people are in need. In a way, those quilts act as portable sanctuaries, intended to bring comfort. I hope as you hear these words, you are wrapped up or surrounded by your own versions of comfort, whether that be soft blankets or a warm cup of tea, or maybe even hugging a teddy bear. In whatever way you may be experiencing a storm in your life right now, may the comfort of community warm you and keep you dry.
Thanks, Ashley. That was a beautiful story. I loved your thunder box. This past Thursday, March the 11th, was the 1-year anniversary of when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. The federal government marked it as a national day of observance. Now, over 2.5 million people around the world have died from COVID, as this deadly disease has disrupted social and economic life around the world. More than 22,000 people have died of the disease in Canada, and almost 1,400 of those died here in BC. There has been incredible loss for so many. There have been impacts as all of us have adapted to living with the restrictions that are designed to keep more people from falling ill and dying, and also to keep our healthcare and other frontline systems from being overwhelmed. I think of those in this last year and presently who are being impacted. I think of seniors living in long-term care homes, learning more about the plight of many of them and the need for systemic change. I think of the healthcare workers and those in grocery stores and other frontline workers who've just kept on keeping on despite all the stresses, because the need is continuing. Now, each of us have been impacted differently over this last year, some less, some more. Perhaps it's not seeing loved ones as often or even in person. Connecting instead online, on the phone, trying in different ways to stay connected to one another. There's been loneliness for many. There's been increased anxiety and depression. Many of us have felt that fatigue growing as the months have gone by. There's been job loss, particularly for those between the ages of 14 and 24. People in the food and services industry have been struggling to stay afloat. There have been all these challenges, and there have been things that we've learned about how to be more caring and loving and generous in community. Neighbors have reached out to each other. Friends and family have reconnected. People have seen the kinds of priorities that they want to shift back to create space and light and hope in their lives and in the light of others. We, as humans, are incredibly resilient. We have the capacity for change. At Beacon, I think back 1 year and the decision to shift onto online Zoom services so that more people could attend, so that we weren't divided into in-person and at home. We know some still aren't able to join us online. Some have chosen that their preference is to connect with us instead by phone. There are ways that we still are building community. I have been moved so deeply. The blessings of you reaching out to each other. The stories I've heard of those who have gone that extra step to make sure that we are staying connected, that those who are feeling lonely or disconnected know they're not alone. Those who have trouble getting groceries have had others bring them to them. I thank Joyce for helping to manage our phone tree. I think of the wonderful callers. I'm just checking. I think did people pop off into a virtual room that was different than ours? Did you have a little sense of what it's like to travel Star Trek style? Suze is say I can see she's apologizing. She's managing our breakout rooms. So you now have an experience of what it's going to be like shortly because we're going to go into little breakout rooms to have some conversation. So,
Sorry.
no worries. This is the adventure of Zoom. We never know quite what's going to happen. We have possibilities. And more than anything, I am incredibly grateful that we have this wonderful worship team who has learned and experimented and is still gaining new tools on how to create this like the umbrella, we have had this sanctuary together online. And I'm incredibly grateful to all those on the worship team who've made these gatherings possible for us. As part of our offering support to the community, Judy and Laura and I, as the pastoral support team, were working on this service, and we were thinking about this 1-year anniversary of our community on Zoom. We also talked about a project that we had been thinking about over this last year. And so thanks to Judy Villette, who's a master quilter, we have this project come to fruition. So we thought we'd do a little bit of a question and answer with Judy so we could learn more about this beautiful new thing. And so Judy, I know that Beacon has 2 caring quilts already. One that was made back in, I think it was 2005 when Katie was the minister, and another one that we started using last year that was made by Children's Program a couple of decades ago, actually. So why did the pastoral support team decide to make this new one?
Heather, could you show us the first slide? Yes, we thought during this pandemic isolation that it would be great to have an extra quilt. We thought there might be more need, and we needed a tangible example of caring. And it was initially going to be a group effort where we would gather people interested in helping and help to build our community as we made this new caring quilt. That didn't happen due to COVID. So I have the time right now. The fabric was donated and I had the desire to get busy and make one right now. That doesn't prohibit us from doing another one in the future. Great. The second slide shows the beautiful jewel tone fabrics donated by Donna Hamilton. And I've picked out the colors that I felt would work well for this particular project. And these colors are clear. They don't have gray in them. They're not muddy or muted. We call them singing colors. They help to lift the spirit. The cool colors are comforting and relaxing.
Judy, I know that we discussed options too and looked at several different options about the design. Can you tell us why did you suggest the design that we actually ended up going on?
The basket weave design is giving the illusion of fabric weaving in and out, under and over. And we felt that that was a very strong symbol of our community, of the strength that we can create as individuals, weaving our strengths together. And of course, the web of life is woven as well.
What I loved about the basket weave when you showed the sample to Laura and I was that weaving together of the community is really evident in it. When we think about, when we talk about the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we think about all these pieces of each of us bringing together our gifts, our strengths, our weaknesses, our learnings, our experiences, and that gets woven into the fabric of this community. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful symbol.
Next slide, Heather.
So there was these elements, these different steps that go along the way. Can you tell us a bit more about how that comes about?
This slide is part of the planning process, and you can see there are 3 different pattern options or design options using the same strip sets. So planning was the first level. Next slide, Heather. Cutting those strips into these lovely precise squares. Next step, next slide. I had a square of these built on my design wall, and I didn't think it looked big enough. So I had to add more to make a full-size lap quilt. So we're getting ready to sew the top. So let's see the next slide. I'm pinning the rows together, and you have to be careful not to twist or turn or flip things in the wrong direction. So it takes some concentration here. Next slide. After pinning carefully, I'm sitting at the machine doing some sewing, and I love that part of it. I can kind of relax. So putting those pieces together. And next slide. I am then doing some pin basting to join the backing, the batting, and the top 3 layers together, pinning them, and then doing the machine quilting, and then finishing the edges. So you can see that there's a lot of steps in this process. It is a process.
It definitely is. And when I was looking at these great photos that you shared with us, and I was thinking about, there's this one size of quilt, and then you added rows, right? You created rows, and it's like each year Beacon changes, it grows. There's the history of it, which you celebrated with the Worship Services Committee recently, the history of Beacon. And then each year there's this new row, this new place of new people coming in, of new experiences like what we're having together. I think it's just beautiful. And so the quilting that you do, why is it that you love quilting? What is it about it that makes it important to you?
It's, for me, been a career choice, and I'm a tactile person, so I chose to work and make my art with fabric. And I particularly love quilting because of the history. It's grounded in a fascinating history that I studied and grew up in. And I can build something concrete and usable as well as beautiful.
And it definitely is beautiful.
It's given me a kind of focus and a goal and a structure during COVID, when I could be just floating in time and space.
There's also, I think, is it the next slide about the, let's see the next slide.
Quilting.
Right. So all the beauty of that.
This is the pin basting process. Next one, Heather. We're into the machine quilting. And one more.
There, that's the one. So tell us more about this variegated quilting thread.
I thought that I would just glance through. I have a collection of threads, hoping and praying that I would get a color that would look good with this fabric and not have to go to the store. And there it was a miracle. This thread is variegated. It goes from light to dark, and it uses the exact colors of the quilt, the teals, the blue, the rich, deep purple. It was a miracle.
I love, when I saw when you showed this to us, the variegated quilting thread, what it got me thinking about was how as the colors shift and move, it's sort of like, we've all had during this year, the joys and sorrows and boredoms and challenges and milestones. It's like they run through together. So it's like they run through the quilt that you've created in showing us, reminding us of that which really does not only weaves the fabric of this community, but binds it. And I thought that was just a beautiful, beautiful image.
Now we have fabrics kind of chosen for their softness. They have, each of the fabrics that I chose is kind of brushed and it has a lovely hand or feel. And we're hoping that those textures and color help to bring comfort, and the design and the changing thread colors will add interest and get the recipient, you know, something to focus on and something to look at as they're kind of trapped in their hospital or in their bedroom, their bed.
Do you want to roll forward? The one that I want to look at is the binding. So if you want to move forward, yeah, there's that great shot.
It's not bound there. We've still got to finish the edges.
Go ahead, Heather. Well, now there you go. That's, you can see what it's going to look like. A lap quilt. Yes. Go ahead, Heather.
One more. There's the binding.
If you can roll it back just one, Heather, as well, there's that beautiful, what would you call it? It's not beveled. Is it beveled? I'd watch the edge, that corner.
Yeah, it's mitered.
Mitered. Look at that beautiful mitered edge that Judy did. Yeah.
Very precise, pointy corner there. Square.
Thanks, Heather. You can roll it forward.
Doing the binding, I am sort of taking my time handling the quilt. I get to touch it and be with it on my lap as I'm hand stitching. And because I know it's going to be laundered a lot, I have to take extra time with those hand stitches, make sure they're carefully locked every 6 inches in case they break. That's a vulnerable part of the quilt.
When you described to me that this is all, that it's done by hand, knowing you, Judy, and what you bring to the pastoral connections you make, is I also know that this is done with love, that this is done with incredible care. And so this quilt that's been made during this time, this year of COVID, is a beautiful gift to our community. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Here we are looking at the finished project, and I hope that it is going to be what I got out of it, the joy and the love that I have for the community and for this craft and the art here will come through to those that get to use it. It's a tangible, real thing, more than just lip service for taking action for each other. And I think that's a wrap.
I think it is. And so know that we have these quilts. And so if you would like to, I think, Judy, are you ready for people to be able to borrow that quilt now? So to contact Judy and also Laura and I, because there are various quilts, and we're happy to do the physical distancing to deliver it to you, hang it on your door, and then we'll get it back from you when you're ready. So we hope we can share this with you soon. Thanks, Judy. I'm going to ask Heather to bring up a slide for some time for quiet reflection for us in thinking of this year. There's some questions that we're going to have a chance for you to reflect on your own in this quiet time. And then later in small groups, we're going to have a chance to share our responses if we're willing, and then to hold some of those responses in our hearts and minds when we do a ritual together just after that. So if Heather wants to bring that slide up. Given your experiences during these past 12 months of this pandemic, what do you want to let go? What part of your spirit needs cleansing or refreshing? What personal intentions do you want to set for the coming year? What are you hoping for personally and for the world at large? So what do you want to let go? It's kind of like the image for us is like a match that flares, or like the flash paper, magic flash paper that we use in the fire communion in the new year. Things to let go of. I mean, I think of things like I wouldn't mind letting go of those few pounds that I've now carried on, enjoying snacks while watching Netflix, but also for things like letting go of things that haven't served me well, like those unconscious biases that I'm learning that I carry, and that contribute to racism, like the busyness that affects the time that I can have to be in quality relationship with other people, letting go of that. That what part of your spirit needs cleansing or refreshing? Imagine like the rain falling down in the story earlier. What can flow off you now? What can carry the detritus of the year that you've accumulated? It doesn't happen overnight, but this is one time in which, if we can name it and bring ritual to it, it can help us in that process of letting go. It can also then refresh your spirit. What is it like? I know when I've been hot and I splash water on my face, that sense of refreshment. What can bring you refreshment now? Time in nature, laughing, having fun, whatever it is for you. And what personal intentions do you want to set for the coming year? Practical, concrete things that might give you better quality of life. And what are you hoping for personally and for the world at large? So just like the setting personal intentions, kind of like that anointing with oil that it happens in so many religions, this is a chance for us to name and set those intentions. And the hopes for us personally and for the world at large, it's like that candle that's lit to bring hope and light to our own lives as well as to the world. I'm going to share some words of meditation written by Michael LeDuc, and then we'll pause for a few moments of quiet so that you can consider some of your responses to these questions. And then I'm going to ask Ming Shun to lead us in meditative singing of Spirit of Life. We'll sing it through twice. So let us begin with these words of meditation. May we look with gratitude upon this day for the beauty of the world, for the first radiance of dawn and the last smoldering glow of sunset. Let us be thankful for physical joys, for hills to climb and hard work to do, for music that lifts our hearts in one breath, for the hand clasp of a friend, whether physical or through our hearts online, and for the gracious loveliness of children who remind us of the wonders of life. May we be appreciative above all for the concern and love of those around us, for the exceeding bliss of the touch of that which brings awe, which suddenly awakens our drowsy souls to the blessed awareness of that which is holy within us and within others. For all this, and for the countless other blessings present in our lives, let us be grateful. Amen. Let us pause now in quiet for a few moments to consider our answers to these questions. I'll invite Ming-Shren to play and sing, leading us in Spirit of Life. We'll sing it through twice.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Ming-Shren. Now's the time to have some small group sharing about our responses to these questions. We're aiming to have 3 people per group. Some may end up with 4 if there's 2 people on one screen. We're going to give you each a minute to answer each of these questions. So for 3 people and 4 questions, we're going to have about 12 minutes. So we'll invite you to be brief in your answers and make sure everyone has a turn. So each answer to the question may just be 1 or 2 sentences. Of course, it's not time to debate. It's just time to hear and listen and witness for each other, honoring each person's dignity and worth. We'll broadcast a message into the small groups about every 3 minutes, so you know it's time to wrap up and move to the next question. And I'll ask Janet to put these questions also in the chat so that you can see them once you're in the small room, in this breakout rooms. And if you can't access them in the chat, I'm sure there's someone in your small room who will have them there. So given these experiences in these past months, what do you want to let go of? What part of your spirit needs cleansing or refreshing? What personal intentions do you want to set for the coming year? What are you hoping for personally and for the world at large? If your group is done early, you can always choose to return to the main room. And if you want to, we're going to send everyone into the rooms, but if for some reason you prefer just to reflect on your own, or if you just prefer just to be there and witness and listen to others, you can always pass and just let the people know your choice. So we're going to send you off into these rooms for conversation and heartfelt listening. Given your experience, here's the first question. Given your experience these past 12 months of the pandemic, what do you want to let go? I'll ask Suze to open our rooms. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being there, for listening to each other, and for those who were participating, and also to those who decided to maybe just be there as a witness or to take some time on your own. All is welcome as options. Because today's service is about reflecting on the quality of our lives, given what we've been learning from this pandemic and learning what we need to let go of that hasn't been serving us well, finding ways to quench our thirst for connection and belonging, and finding cleansing and ways of refreshing ourselves so that we can invite in healing and feel renewed. It's also about setting intentions so that we can move forward now that we see the light in the future with the various vaccinations that are available and age groups that are becoming eligible for receiving them. And also, it's about feeling hope for ourselves and for our world, creating new beginnings and possibilities based on what we've been learning. So I'll ask if Janet wants to spotlight as well Judy, Laura, and Susan, who will be leading this ritual with us. We've adapted this ritual from Lois Van Leer, found on the Unitarian Universalist Association's worship web, and adapted it to this place and time in virtual space. We're using the original order of the 4 directions and 4 elements and moving, as you can imagine in your mind's eye, in a circle. We start with Judy in the south using fire. So if you did get the message about if you wanted to participate physically and have a match on hand, you can strike it physically or just in your imagination. It's for that releasing. Laura in the west with water, and she has a bowl there for cleansing. And Susan in the north using oil and setting oil for helping us to set intention. And me in the east using a candle for creating hope and new beginnings. At each step, as we pause, we invite you to remember your answers to these 4 questions that we shared in these small groups. And so let them come to your mind as we do the ritual, to bring them into your heart and mind and body and spirit. Creating and participating in ritual is part of the power of our living tradition. We empower ourselves and each other to grow and learn, heal and hope. It takes energy and harnessing it for our well-being and for the well-being of the world around us. Now, the words and the rituals actions have no inherent power in themselves. They have power because they help us name in words what we're discovering about ourselves and the kind of world we want to create. They have power because these elements that we use connect us to the earth that gives us all life. The ritual movements remind us that it's through action that we can change. So in this spirit, we invite you to join us in this ritual. So as we name the directions, you can either stand and face that direction yourself or stay seated and just hold that direction in intention. If you have those objects and want to join with us in that ritual action, feel free. Otherwise, just be there with us, witnessing it or miming the action, whatever you're comfortable with. And as always, if you'd rather not participate in the ritual and just be there as a witness to this caring, learning, and growing community, please do that. Judy will begin.
I face the south, the place of fire, of release. Remember what you want to release. Imagine it to be on this paper. Fire reading by Lois E. Van Leer. Roar through my soul. Flame and fire and searing heat burn all my fears to ash. Now send your sparks up on the breath of the wind, up to the sun, moon, and stars, snaking paths, roads for my spirit to follow. Sweet, sweet release. If you have a match, you may want to light it now. I have a lit candle.
I face the west, the place of water, of cleansing. Most religious traditions have understood the element of water as the great purifier, that which washes clean and makes new. It is also seen as the teacher of the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Furthermore, sources of water, including springs, streams, rivers, creeks, lakes, pools, ponds, oceans, are compassionate healers, quenching actual and metaphoric thirsts. Therefore, water in our lives can symbolize purification, the mystical presence of creativity, or the healing balm of compassion. Remember now what part of your spirit needs cleansing or refreshing. I will read a poem by Diane Lynch, the first verse of The Well Within. Water, life, blessed water, holy, flow through me, purge impurities, rinse gently my soul, tumbled by blessed confusion. As Charlotte pours water over my hands, in your imagination or physically where you are, let that water flow over you. Let the water cleanse you.
I face the north, where oil can mark the setting of intention. What would our lives be like if we lived them with awareness and intention? These next 12 months await. Remember the intention or intentions you want to set, given what you think you have learned during this pandemic about how you want to live going forward. Now I'll read a poem by author unknown. One tree can start a forest. One bird can herald a spring. One smile can begin a friendship. One hand can lift a soul. One star can guide a ship. One word can frame the goal. One vote can change a nation. One sunbeam can light a room. One candle can wipe out darkness. One laugh can conquer gloom. One hope can raise our spirits. One touch can show you care. One voice can wake up everybody. One life can make the difference. As I anoint myself with oil, and set my intentions, you could mirror my actions, physically or in your imagination, or you could choose your own actions to help set your intention for the coming year.
I face the east. Let the candle and its light hold the place for new beginnings. Across millennia, human beings have lit lamps or torches or candles in religious rituals. Whether their intention is to hold prayer or remembrance for those lost, or holding unspoken hopes and desires, Whatever the purpose, the lighting of candles captivates us still. Remember the hopes that you hold for the coming year, the desires where you want to make new beginnings. Barbara Kingsilver wrote, "The very least you can do in your life is to figure out what you hope for. And the most you can do is live inside that hope. Not admire it from a distance, but live right in it, under its roof." As I light this candle to represent hope and new beginnings, I invite you to either light a candle where you are or light it within your heart to hope and new beginnings. None of us knows what will happen in these next 12 months. And yet we do not know, and yet we do know that when we let go, when we heal, when we set intention, and when we create hope, we set directions to guide us in what we choose to do with our time, our energy, our love, and our actions. May this ritual help us remember. May it remind us we do not do this alone, but within the fabric woven within this community of connection, inspiration, and transformation. So might it be. Blessed be. Thanks, Judy and Susan and Laura. Oh, and thank you, the beautiful slides I wanted to say, and I'm glad Susan is up, that we can see Susan's picture. Thanks, Susan, for sharing your beautiful photos that we've been enjoying in the slides today. Another beautiful photo, new beginnings. Great crocuses. If you want to, thanks, Heather. A reminder that we do share not only our compassion, we share our resources to financially support this community, and also our Sharing the Plate recipient, New West Hospice Society, which we hope to hear from in a service in this spring. And so if you haven't yet given or haven't given recently towards our Sharing the Plate recipient, we encourage you to do that before, definitely before we bring them in, hopefully in a service in May, so that we can give them a good check to share our energy with them. And Sue is going to lead us in the sung response, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thanks, Sue. Heather's going to bring up a video from the Unitarian Church of Vancouver's choir leads that will lead us in the song Turn the World Around, written by Harry Belafonte and Robert Friedman. Abati Waha is in Swahili, and there's various interpretations or translations of that, but it's along the lines of fortunate existence, our lucky life, ha! And so we bring that gratitude to that, our lucky life. Please join in singing.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life a patiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life a patiwa. So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life a batiwa. Ha! So is life. Whoa, so is life a batiwa. Ha! So is life. Whoa, so is life a batiwa. Ha! So is life.
Thanks for that, and thanks for the leads and the Unitarian Church of Vancouver sharing that wonderful music with us. I'll ask Heather to bring up a couple of slides just to let you know a little bit who's been involved, both in front of the screen and behind the screen. And thanks to all of you who have come today to share our time together in remembering this celebration of this year, connecting virtually on Zoom. I can't imagine what the year would have been like if we hadn't been able to do it. Of course, it's not the same as meeting in person, and it is still weaving the fabric of community. Thanks, Heather. Here are our closing words. I'll invite Susan to unmute. Here we are. And Judy can start.
And now may the blessings of life be upon us and upon this congregation.
May the memories we gather here give us hope for the future.
May the love that we share bring strength and joy to our hearts.
And the peace of this community be with us until we meet again. If you'd like to join me in extinguishing the chalice and the candles that you have. And I'll ask Heather to bring up the slide for Carry the Flames. If you'd like to go into the gallery mode so we can see people, and Sue will lead us in singing it.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Go well.